Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Mango the GOAT. This is another mental liberation moment, and this is IIP. IIP stands for Involuntary Immigrants Podcast. Involuntary Immigrants Podcast. Short and sweet, man. I just want to say I realized something this week. So this road we're going on, it's the destruction. It's population control. This is real population control. And it's weird as fuck. This new era we're in. It's like people are PC too much. I think PC is a terrible thing. Because PC is lies. PC is lies. And that's not a fucking ugly bitch. She is ocular challenging. Like, nah. It's ugly bitch. It's excuses. And like everything got a name. It's like you can't say retard no more. Or they're fucking with Beyonce because she said she's gonna spaz out. Oh, you can't say that. That offends mentally challenging people. It's like, man, cut this shit out, man. Just talk how you feel. That's what needs to happen. We need to speak how we feel. It may hurt feelings. Fuck it. Like, I argue all the time about the word like fag and nigga and all of this stuff. And I'm doing it from a philosophical manner, right? The word hurts people's feelings. It don't hurt you physically. That shows, in my opinion, if the whole society is moving off the hurtness of feelings, then it's a weak society. Like, now, if it's causing you physically harm or like physical harm, that's a fucking toxic, negative, wrong society. And to me, that's as bad as a mentally weak society. I listened to the bitch talking about Deshaun Watson and like how she was giving him a massage, and he was like, I want you to do my lower abdomen. And then he had a little tiny hand towel on his dick, and he moved the towel. And she said, and I just felt so uncomfortable. And then she was massaging him, and she said he took his dick and slapped that bitch across my hand. And I started crying. And I said, well, where was this bitch hands at? If she was massaging his abdomen, I said, damn, that nigga had a big ass dick where he could just slap that motherfucker all the way where her hands were. So her story was, I was like, I think she had her hands down there by that man's dick. And he just whipped that bitch real quick and slapped across her knuckles. But see, shit like that where this bitch is crying on TV, it's the victim game. It's the victim, because America loved the underdog. America loved an underdog movie. Like, look at Rocky. Rocky is big. He's known for being this great boxer and this and that. But when you watch Rocky 1, you see he was a loser. That trainer, he said, you're a bum, Rocky. That motherfucker said, you're a bum. You're a bum, Rocky. That's literally what he said to Rocky, because Rocky was a losing boxer. He was an underdog. And the champion gave him a chance as nobody. And he fought pretty hard. He finally decided to be somebody. That's an underdog story. America love an underdog story. America don't like to see people great, continue to do great, and just be great all around, especially a black man. I heard Mayweather say that shit. He said, if I was white, they'd make all kind of statues and love me. But because I'm black, he's like, and I'm not basically he ain't a bootlicker. He's a villain. And being a villain make him more money. Because deep down, we love to see greatness. But on the outside, we like to shame greatness. And that brings me to what we're talking about today. And before we get on that, they got this new thing called, how they have names for all this shit. Like if you're a man that wears women's clothing, when I grew up, that was called drag. Now you can just consider that transgender. When I grew up, it was a drag. It was a faggot, a drag, a da-da-da-da-da. Now that's a transgendered person. He is now identifying as she. The shit is wrong. But you give motherfuckers an inch and miles are taken. Because now, just like when I was growing up, people who fuck with children, we call them pedophiles. These motherfuckers are now calling them minor attracted people. This shit is wrong. What the fuck is a minor attracted person? That's a motherfucking pedophile. So why all of these social deviances you're trying to put, this is the truth of it now, to get to the bottom of it. This transgender, all that, you're trying to sweeten up social deviances. As a society, we knew this shit was wrong. You're trying to sweeten it up and reintroduce it to us. You're trying to sweeten it up and repackage it and then resell it back to society. That's what you do with defective products. If there's a product that came out 10 years ago and it killed babies, right? They're going to go back, switch it up, and remanufacture it with a different name and sell it to people. This isn't that product. This is a new product. It's the same exact product. You just went in and retweaked it. And this is proof. This minor attracted people, it's truth of what I'm fucking telling you. You know, like 100 years ago, I heard somebody say 100 years ago, they was putting people in mental hospitals for like transgender shit, right? They was putting people in mental hospitals for that. You know why? It logically makes sense to why. It's because they're not rooted in reality. I've said this plenty of times, they're not rooted in reality. I'm a such and such trapped in such and such. But this is big to me because it's attacking. What we're going to talk about today is how it's really not an attack on society. It's more so an attack on women. Like the minor attracted people, that's a pedophile. But the rest of it, it's really an attack on women. But that was a great example of how it happens. You repackage some form of evil, some form of deviance, some form of insanity, and try to restructure it and sell it to the people. Because if the people are not rooted in reality, you could sell them any dream. I personally think like rap is great, but at the same time, when the corporations get a hold of it and they repackage and resell it, it's toxic to us. And you know what I'm going to talk about today, women should be at the forefront of a lot of these issues we're about to go over, but instead, the music is telling us, bitch, you got to be at the red light twerking on the headlights. I want to show you something. Tupac was right. Tupac was 100% right. When that motherfucker said, if we don't, we'll have a race of babies who hate the ladies who raise the babies, or who makes the babies. This is what we got going on here. Now, this episode is solely for bitches, whores, and women, and people who are born with pussy and can give birth. I don't know what the fuck y'all done did to the people at the top of the pyramid, but I'm here to let you know I did something. Y'all fucked up somewhere because they are trying to get rid of you. They do not like you. All of my women listening that's in the feminist organization, leave them alone. They don't like you. Everything is set up to fuck you up. Now, I kind of realized this with this new trans movement and all this shit. Now, I'm going to talk about that alphabet community. I'm excluding the L's and the G's. So lesbian and gay people, this does not concern you. But every other alphabet in that fucking phrase, it's fucked up. Those are mental conditions. Now, that's my opinion. I'm not a doctor. Now, this whole thing with can't call them women, you have to call them birthing people, or you can't say women, they're cis women, because a man can be a woman. A man can give birth to a baby. Like, this shit is it's out of hand, and I couldn't realize like what it was until now. it's not an attack on men. Men just keep fighting for it. A lot of men are against a lot of this shit. Women are not fighting for it as much. The whole feminist movement is supposed to be fighting this, right? If the feminist movement is solely for the protection of women, they should be at the forefront of this. And men should be joining the feminist movement's fight against this shit. But instead, the feminist movement is teaming up with these people. And you say, why? Why? It's because the leaders at the top of the feminist movement, them dyke bitches don't like women. They wish to be men. And now you have this cisgender thing. You're a cis woman. What the fuck is cis woman? Like, the whole thing is fucking weird. And then when I grew up, I thought queer was gay. Now they're like, no, queer is not gay. Queer is something else. Queer is questionable or queer. I don't know the definition. I don't fucking care. So where we are with this shit, I realized when I woke up this morning, it's the whole world has this perception of, you know, the men are evil, and it seems like it's an attack on men. And to be real with you, specifically, it seemed like it's an attack on white men, because everybody talking about the white men. But to be honest with you, that confused me, because I said the white man ain't never been that cool. The fucking sun ducking male ain't never been that special. Why the fuck everybody hate him, right? And then when you look at the history of it, all the evil that the white man gets accused of doing, the person next to him that benefited the most was a white woman. That's just the history of it. White women didn't start talking oppression and shit till black people got free. When niggas was in slavery, like the only white bitches that was talking oppression was the witches. And you didn't hear them complain. They got burnt up. Them bitches dirt. So a white woman come out with, oh, my man oppressed me. He wasn't getting oppressed by no niggas. So it became an attack on a white man, right? So here's the funny part about that. Now in 2022, it seems like everything's getting pointed back to men and in depth white men. And I don't give a fuck if you point at a sun duck and blame them. But we have to be real about this. This is not an attack on men. The trans movement and all that, it's an attack on feminine women, like real women. If you think about it, everything that comes about, like if they're successful, everything that comes about it will destroy the woman. First off, this is specifically in the black community, right? So say they're successful. You know, these organizations, they're putting Lil Nas X on the fucking award shows, and they're putting all of these shit. They putting people on Sesame Street to tell the babies it's okay. So let's just look at the black community, right? They're successful, and all these little boys jump in the alphabet game, right? So when they jump in the alphabet game, little boys no longer care about women. They want to be gay, queer, a donkey, or some shit like that. Then that's a real thing. There's people that think they're animals. They identify as animals. So they turn into all of this shit. But they no longer want a wife. These little boys no longer want a wife. The one thing that's gonna offend some of y'all is that whole thing of women are strong as men. No, they're not. They are not. Women have great aspects about them. Women are great, and it is based individually. Some bitches ain't shit, but some women are great. The greatest woman in the world ain't stronger than a man, though. Because if you take the greatest woman in the world and take the greatest man in the world, that bitch ain't stronger than that man. Cut the shit out. But what I will say is women are great. Women are great. Women have the greatest ability on earth. They make people. Now, it takes two people to make a person, but it's the woman that nurtures and carries, and that's why every man, in my opinion, needs a woman. Because a woman is a nurturer. What does a baby do when he's born? He need to suck them titties. He needs to suck them titties. Now, y'all seen that video with the two couples have a baby, but the woman become a man and the man become a woman, and he got fake titties, and he got the baby on his titties trying to suck his titties, and he crying, talking, oh, he won't take the milk. I said, man, somebody need to call children's service and take that goddamn baby before it die. These retarded motherfuckers here. Like, but anyway, back to the attack on women. The boys, if that shit falls out, the boys no longer care about women. They want to fuck another man. They want to fuck a transgender man. They want to fuck a pony. They want to fuck a monkey. They want some shit that's going to get a monkey pox. They want all this weird shit. But they don't want a woman no more because they're in the shit. Well, what does that do to the woman? That makes her more reckless. That makes her want to go more independent. The black man ain't better than the black woman. The black woman ain't better than the black man. It's not a competition. It's cooperation. It takes both to build a kingdom. Man, woman, child. So all of this shit is a form of population control. What's the best way to control the population? It's not just about destroying the black household. They did that. They had a plan. They said that shit works, right? But a lot of shit is incorporating toxicity to the black woman. Because then after they said, we broke up the black household, they started realizing, well, fuck. The black woman turned to the white man. He nutted in that pussy. And she still made a nigga. So then, if you look at it around the time of the demise of the black family, that's when the rise of the LGBTQ whatever community also starts climbing. That's around the late 60s till now. Before that, it was more shunt. But the greater the LGBT community, the greater that grows, the worse the black family becomes. Nobody sees the correlation in that. And this goes into what I was saying about the attack on the fucking women in general. And when I say women, I'm specifically talking about black women, but if you're listening, you're welcome. The attack on women, while all of this shit's going on, you know, one of the things that always made a woman special is that pussy. Some of y'all want to say, oh, my pussy. No, that pussy is special. By the time a boy turned 14, if his mind ain't fucked up or he been through some trauma, everything he gonna do gonna have to do with sticking his dick in some pussy. Everything. Right? So when these motherfuckers trick you off of your pussy being special or convince little boys that your pussy is gross, as my one person I had on here, he thought pussy felt like a sponge. I don't know if y'all remember the interview I did with the transgender brother, but he said, ew, I didn't like it. It felt like a sponge. And I never heard that shit before, but I thought it was funny. But then I realized he had a trauma. And then he was talking about his uncles and his cousins fucking when he was a boy. And I said, that's why he thinks he's a woman, because he got fucked, so it was a trauma. The only thing he knows about sex, his introduction to sex, was they made him a bitch. So he grew up and wanted to be a bitch because it took him back to his childhood. So they're introducing a lot of this visual trauma, mental trauma. It's a chemical warfare, putting shit in the food and all this shit. They're not doing that shit to eradicate the male. They're doing that shit to lessen the woman. Because if you want to destroy a population, first thing you do is feminize the man. But why? You feminize the man. If he got beta male bitch-like tendencies, he's always going to butt head with a woman. Because nobody gets into it with a woman more than a woman. Like this whole concept of an alpha woman, I was like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is an alpha woman? Like, I could believe in a boss bitch, but alpha woman, I can't fuck with that. Any bitch ever told me she was an alpha woman, I wanted to fuck her till her pussy bleed. And that's just being real. You could be a beautiful woman. You could be a boss bitch. You could be a boss woman. You can be all of this shit. But that alpha woman shit, it's like, nah, miss me with that. I don't even like strong black woman. I hate that fucking phrase because you trying to strengthen, you trying to, what do they say, masculinize the black woman. I've never heard somebody say, that's a strong white woman. I hate that shit. So yeah, fuck no. And it's a society thing. And I think that's like part of the steps to eradicate the woman. So as y'all can see, I'm very passionate about this shit right here. Very passionate about it because, you know, motherfucker, I got daughters. So going into this future where the number one thing, and women, you may hate to believe me on this, but the number one tool, superpower, if a woman is a superhero, her superpower is that pussy. That's her superpower. Cause that pussy done made niggas go to prison. That pussy done made niggas make worse decisions they ever made. And also that pussy done made niggas get their life together. It ain't the mothership that a man chase. It's the mother's hips. That pussy, I've never heard of a man jump out some pussy and say, I'm about to go outside and make bad decisions. When that pussy good, man, shit, he might go get something to eat or go to sleep. That's what happened when the pussy good. So that pussy got so much power. Granted, I do think your mind is greater than the pussy, but that's great. Your mind is greater for you. Your mind is greater for you. That pussy can save a man's life. So dealing with it, all of this extra shit here, men, they're trying to say men can give birth to babies. Men can compete with women. Men can go to the woman's bathroom. Ain't no bitch turning into a man doing man sports. And if they did, nobody would give a shit because she gonna lose in everything. It's only these weak ass men jumping into y'all categories. Why the fuck every time this happens, is it a man at the forefront saying, nah, that shit ain't cool? Where are the leaders of the feminist movement? See, all of these, that's why I'm against factions, right? All of these factions that come about, they full of shit. And they capitalize on whoever they represent. They capitalize on them. And they only stand there for the bullshit issue. Like Black Lives Matter. They wait for a nigga to die, show up. And I you know, Black lives really do matter. But the corporation is full of shit. Just wait for a nigga to die, see the circumstance, show up, make a lot of money, sell it to the corporations, and the lesbian bitches go live in California. How many of them families got the money? How many of the families got the money? So I think the Black Lives Matter organization gave a shitload of money to a presidential election and shit. But how many of them families got the money for the people you march for? I mean, that's just Black Lives Matter. Look at the other factions and shit, the feminist movement. How many times have you seen the feminist movement on the front line talking about, you know, these college men doing women's sports or these fucking men using women's bathroom? The feminist movement was supposed to represent the safety and power and advancement of women. They do not. They quiet as shit. They quiet as shit right now, you know. And the LGBTQ plus Disney plus community, you didn't hear them at all speaking on Brittany Griner. You know, she go hard for them. She got a whole wife and this and that. She ain't like Marcel for Congress, who said, I don't fuck with that community. I'm black first. You see what I'm saying? Brittany Griner is, she's all them shits tangled in one. And the media's like, what are black people saying about Brittany Griner? People ain't saying shit. Black people know how this shit work. You done took your ass over there and broke the white people law. Your ass gonna sit. Nobody's asking, hey, what's the What the LGBT Disney Plus community got to say about motherfucking Brittany Griner? You ain't hear nobody say. They talking about how does black athletes, what are the NBA players saying about Brittany Griner? You see, so they put all these people, they point the finger at the wrong people. But I'm here to tell you, women, the factions are failing you. Your feminist movements, your all of that, because the world wants you gone. The world wants you gone. And real men don't. Real men know the world needs you. It's a balance. It ain't no you worse than me, I'm worse than you. That's not real. It's a balance. I need you sisters to be great so I can reach my greatness and we can do great things together. I want your little girl to grow up a princess so my little boy can marry him a queen. My seed marry, your seed marry, they see. That's how that shit go. This whole division shit, and no, it's divide and conquer. So I want to thank you beautiful souls for listening. I hope you make it back to me next time. Mango loves you.
Involuntary. Done contrary to or without choice. Immigrant. Definition 1. A person who immigrates. Definition 2. A plant or animal that becomes established where it was previously unknown.